Welcome to the Miami Heat Zone podcast. We are pushing to 6,000 subscribers. Make sure that you guys hit that subscribe button and thank you for all the support. So today we have Trent for the Miami Heat Network. Make sure that you guys go to his channel, hit that subscribe button, and then also to go to his second channel, Top Notch, and hit that subscribe button. Today we have my boy MJ. What's up, MJ? How are you doing today?
What's going on, man? What's going on? Thank you for having me on, man.
Yeah, man. Just
Appreciate it.
let people know where can they find you on social media, or like if you want to plug anything that you have.
They can find me on Twitter at opinionated underscore MJ. I do the East Meets West podcast with my boy Conrado, and that's at EMW underscore pod on Twitter. And I also do a WNBA pod with my six pod crew, and I don't know the Twitter tag for that. I guess at six, the number six pod. I don't know if it's podcast, but I think it's six. It's probably six like sixth pod, and then yeah, you'll see like a green or a pink, like women's logo. So yeah,
All right, so you said that you have a lot to talk about. So let's obviously start off with Jimmy Butler. What
yes
do you
sir.
have to say about Jimmy Butler? Who's right? Who's wrong? Is Pat Riley wrong? Is Jimmy Butler wrong? What do you think about this whole situation?
I feel like both sides can be wrong. You know what I mean? Whereas Jimmy Butler carried them to two championships, or to two finals. You know what I mean? So without him, are they there? You know what I mean? Like he actually fit and embodied Heat culture. He represented Heat culture. It was like when you thought about Heat culture, yeah, you thought about what they do and they go over and go on military bases and do their training and stuff like that. Kind of like the Spurs sometimes, but it's like you think Jimmy Butler at the end of the day. And then also on the flip side, it's like, well, Jimmy, you know who you're dealing with. Like Pat Riley, we heard all the rumblings about back then, LeBron wanting to do this and that and have his friends on the plane and stuff like that. And Pat Riley wasn't with that. So what happened? You know what I mean? Who won? So you kind of know what you're dealing with when you're dealing with Pat Riley. Like he's the guy running the show. So you have to like get in line. It's a hierarchy and you have to respect it. You know what I mean? Like LeBron brought him championships. You brought two final trips. So
Yeah, but
hey,
what do you think about Jimmy Butler's work ethic? Because there's a lot of people they'll talk about, did Pat Riley do this or that? But my biggest thing with Jimmy Butler is right. Pat
yeah,
Riley never said he wasn't going to pay him. All
right,
Pat Riley said was, listen, just wait until the end of the season. We'll see how the team looks. We'll see how you play this season if you're durable. I know a lot of people were making a big deal out of the whole shut your mouth part, which, we want to get your perspective on that as well. But it's just like, I don't understand why Jimmy Butler's crying when he's making $48.8 million this season. And then also, too, he's looking at $52.2 million next season. Whether he opts in or not, who knows? But obviously, I don't see him leaving that type of money on the table when there's
nah,
not really that many teams. And I just feel like him and his agent messed up because there's not that
right,
many teams right now that are going to be willing to even sign him. The Brooklyn Nets and the Detroit Pistons that have that cap space, they don't want him. Why are they going to take on a Jimmy Butler and sign him for some like $100 million plus dollars? Then
right,
you have Bradley Beal, where you have to count on him to waive his trade clause, then
mm-hmm,
actually say yes to whatever team you're trying to send him to. Then you're
right,
going to need a 3, 4, or possibly even a 5-team deal to possibly
right,
get something done where the Miami Heat, the Phoenix Suns, and maybe 2 or 3 more mystery teams all have to agree. You see what I'm saying? So
right.
it's just like, why do you think that Jimmy Butler is doing what he's doing? And what do you think about the whole, shut your mouth comments?
Um, I think he's trying to create some leverage for himself. Like probably him and his agent are trying to create some leverage, or maybe it's just him. Maybe his agent's like, yeah, this is not going to go like this, that. Like, oh, it's not okay. Well, watch this. So he's, I guess, betting on himself. You know what I mean? Like, okay, well, you know what? Let's see this then. Let's see this happen then. And I just don't know that it's gonna go that well. Like he's basically making max money. Like when he got that contract, it was max money, wasn't it? If I'm not mistaken. Like because now I know the maxes are a little bit higher. Now they're going up to like 60 and whatnot. But yeah, that was max. That's max-ish money. Like that's a lot of money, man. 52 million. Like that's how many players are making 50 million. Like going into next season. You know what I mean? Like five. What? Steph, probably LeBron, uh, probably Giannis. It's not that many. You know what I mean? Like we can probably figure it out. Like just throw the names out there, and it's just like, bro, like you have to just accept what you have. Like you've been a part of this team. You've been an integral part of this team, man, and you've helped them like basically kind of restructure on the fly. It seems like, and why not just see it through, man, and just retire with the Miami Heat, as opposed to like it's looking like in the process of him trying to move, people are going to look at him, teams are going to look at him like, we don't want that baggage, bro. Like every team that you were a part of, it ended horribly. So why would we want to take on you? And then after 2 or 3 years, you're disgruntled, even though that's probably all we'll get out of you anyway, is another 2 or 3 years. And even then, speaking to the durability issue, he's been, I won't talk about the COVID portion of it because it's COVID, but the injuries have been here for the last few years, and it's just like, can we count on you when we need you most, or have you turned that corner? So yeah, I don't understand. And then the shut your mouth comments, like, I mean, it is what it is. It's just like, be quiet. You know what I mean? Like, because it's how they do in the NBA. It's a lot of either agents go talk to journalists and go throw stuff out there, or teams that go throw stuff out there. It's just like, just keep it in house. Just I take it as keep it in house. You know what I mean? Like, just hush. So I don't know, because that came from Spoelstra, correct?
No, I mean Pat Riley told him to shut his mouth, all because
Oh, Pat Riley.
Yeah, came up, but that's old school Pat Riley. You see what I'm
Yeah, I
saying?
mean, it is.
That
It
is
was
old school Pat
Spoelstra
Riley.
told them that he won. What did he tell them the other day? He said, I thought it was Spoelstra that said it. He said something else though. I just seen it today too, like doing my homework, where Spoelstra was just like, we gonna handle it however we do it, or something like that. He said that's we'll take care of it. I forgot exactly how he worded it, but yeah, that's old school Pat Riley, bro. Like, shut your mouth. Know your role. Like he told him, like The Rock, know your role and shut your mouth. You just a player, man. Like, you gonna come and go, and then somebody else is gonna come and take your spot. And it's looking like Hero can do it.
Go ahead, Trent.
Yeah, maybe it's not the same, but I feel like Pat Riley said worse about Tyler Hero, and during that off season too. And I mean, Tyler Hero, yeah, he made a lot of like slick remarks or slick like tweets on Twitter, but he didn't affect his game on the court. Like he came back and got better as a player. Now he's one of our best players on the team. Like, I just think Jimmy Butler just has a soft. He's a soft ego. Like I feel like Jimmy Butler's fake tough in real life. Like, I really believe it. Like, the most sensitive things bother him. Like, it's so weird to me. Like, at the end of the day, I appreciate Jimmy for what he done, but like all the antics that he's doing and all the stuff that the Miami Heat allowed him to do with players, like other players they dealt with in the past, like D Wade and LeBron, like they ain't allow these players to do these certain stuff that Jimmy's doing. So I'm kind of sick of this Jimmy stuff, man. Like, you see all these young players playing good ever since Jimmy was on suspension. I mean, Jovic finally looks good. Jaime, Kel'el Ware. I mean, our players are just playing good. You could tell they like playing with each other, and it's just time to move on for him. You know what I mean? Like, everybody has its time with his players, and it's time now. The only thing that's unfortunate is that, like, he has no trade value. So Pat Riley already came out on a podcast and was just like, man, he has a hard time trading players.
Yeah.
And unless we're getting a crazy offer for Jimmy, I think he's staying. And it's not a bad thing, but it's also a bad thing in the sense of, like, maybe for the locker room. Like, I don't really know how the locker room truly feels. Like, that, like, you can say they love Jimmy, but there's somebody in that locker room that feels the type of way. We're all human. We all have feelings. We all have emotions. So,
right.
I don't know. But I do have a question for you, though. How'd you feel about, like, Kel'el Ware and Bam Adebayo, if you did watch the game or hear about it, do their thing today when we finally been preaching for Ware and Bam to bench start, and then, kind of Spo does it like 40 games into the year?
Who's that question directed at?
You good?
Oh, at me. I love Kel'el Ware, and I felt, I don't know, I might disappoint you guys, but I don't know if Bam is a number one option. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like a lot of people look at him as like, okay, like Jimmy's gonna be gone and it's gonna be Bam and Tyler. It's like, well, Bam is not necessarily number one. Like, I actually think Kel'el Ware would make Bam better, but it will also make Kel'el Ware like have an actual real spot on the roster. You know what I mean? Starting, and because Bam is not a true center. He's just not. You know what I mean? And I'm kind of, old schoolish in my head when I think about centers and whatnot. And Bam is more of a, mix between like a somewhat like Anthony Davis, but not as aggressive. he wants to shoot, so it's like, a lot of the bigs want to be like KD with that aspect, and it's just like as far as just back to the basket and being efficient, like just down low alone, like he's not Giannis, you know what I mean? So, um, I just feel like them playing together would actually be the best thing going forward. You know what I mean? Because it will open up both of their games. Because Kalel is more of a traditional center, Bam is more of a new age, modern type of big. So I think those two together, yes, with whatever else they put on the floor, those two, Tyler. I like Jovic. I like Yame Yaquez. I love them. Like I love that team, bro. Like they are nice. They look like, especially probably another year or so, they'll be in some type of contention. I've already been thinking about them without Jimmy. Like, okay, so based on the 7 games that we've seen without Jimmy Butler, it was some ups and downs over the course of those games, but they looked like they were starting to be more cohesive as a unit. You know what I mean? And then here comes Jimmy, and it's just like and then we get smacked. You know what I mean? So I can see the future with what they currently have, definitely, and especially with Khalil, for real.
So
Yo,
it's your no. Go ahead, Trent. You good?
this is a question for Martel too, and I feel like I kind of already know your answer, and Tolliver too.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big fan of this, but one of my supporters brought it up in the comment sections, and he actually made me think. So before I ask this question, man, it's a real thing. So the Milwaukee Bucks obviously want Jimmy Butler,
Ooh,
and they do. I feel
ooh.
like there's actually real interest in that. Milwaukee Bucks is one of those dark horse teams that came
Mm,
out of nowhere for Dame too, and this is why I actually kind of
mm,
think Milwaukee is going to get this job done. Right? We all remember when Dame was a favorite to go to Miami, and
yeah.
usually the favorites tend to not get the players. Like I don't know what it is. Like typically sometimes it doesn't happen. Anyways, Chris Middleton and Bobby Portis for Jimmy Butler. How do you guys feel about that? And I understand Chris Middleton. I am not a big fan of this dude, Chris Middleton, at all. But his contract is not that bad because one of the supporters brought up to me, if you get another player like possibly a Bradley Beal or Brandon Ingram,
Mm,
we all know their contracts are not the greatest, and then you have to pay Brandon Ingram. How would
right.
you feel about that trade with the team that we already have? This team seems like they want to compete, and us fans probably want draft picks and assets. I don't think they're going that route. So, do you like a Bobby Portis and Chris Middleton for a Jimmy trade?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Yes, because you get role players, and like this team looks good with just like Terry Rozier, Duncan Robinson. I guess you can kind of call him like a somewhat vet. You know what I mean? But vets with young players, it just makes it all better. You know what I mean? Like especially Bobby Portis, he'll come in there and he'll really probably help Khalil, and he might even help Bam get some pointers here or there. You know what I mean? And then Chris Middleton would just be a stabilizer. Like he won't have to come and drop 20, 25. He could come and do 12, 15 a game, make big shots, make key shots in big moments. You know what I mean? Like timely shots. And that'll make the machine work even more, minus a Jimmy Butler. So I actually would like that deal specifically. Yes, I would love that deal for Miami because that will put you guys in a situation where, okay, it'll take a second, maybe 20 games, maybe the rest of the season to, like, if the deal was made today, and it'll take a little time for them to mesh and make it all work. But I mean, Eric, you got Eric Spoelstra as your coach, so it might just take the latter. It might just take 20 points or 20. Talking about 20 points, it might just take 20 games. Or the former rather. It might take 20 games, and then boom, all of a sudden you have a whole nother Miami team. If they can put themselves in playoff position, then suddenly you don't know what you're dealing with in the playoffs because they have too many players they can go to. You know what I mean? And I know, yeah, some young players like Jovic and Yaquez that might still need more time, like developing. But I think overall, like for the next 2 to 3 years, yeah, that's a good look. Veterans are always great.
Yeah, I mean, so to answer your question, Trent, I mean, don't get me wrong. I know that Brandon Ingram, he wants his money. He was even trying to get 50 million per. But think about it, he really hasn't had a good season. He's been hurt with like I think a sprained ankle. I think the best trade scenario, if we can get a guy like Brandon Ingram and we add him to the roster this season, we might not have to pay him that max because I just feel like the Miami Heat have that leverage to say, okay, listen, we're not going to give you a max contract. What have you really done to even get a max? You see what I'm saying? In
Yeah.
terms of him playing his production on the court. I think he's like 27 years old. I think he would honestly be perfect with this timeline. I'm not saying that we have to keep him long term, but at least maybe if we can get him at a better deal or a cheaper deal, I think that would be great for the Miami Heat because he brings that scoring. And I know a lot of people like to clown like Zion, and all these other guys that are on the Pelicans. But believe it or not, I just think that those guys, they need a change of scenery.
Yeah.
I think, you know what I mean? I just think that if you can put some of these other role players, like a Zion and all these other guys over there on a different franchise, and especially like the Miami Heat, because once you get the Eric Spoelstra boost, if you give Brandon Ingram the Eric Spoelstra boost, I think that he would be a solid piece on this Miami Heat team going forward. Because realistically, I don't really see us getting any better type of all-star like type player. I think that we might just get maybe 1 to 2, role players. And like I said, we can hope and pray that we can even get a first round pick. But MJ, just please, right before we close, where can the people find you on social media one more time for us?
At opinionated underscore MJ on Twitter, at EMW underscore pod on Twitter. I don't know if everybody's doing Blue Sky, but I'm over there too, and it's opinionated MJ as well. I believe it's opinionated underscore MJ. If you want to follow me over there, I'm not over there as heavy, but yeah. And then on YouTube, just look for East Meets West, a basketball state of being. That's the podcast, and on Spotify and everywhere else, and then also on Spotify and Apple, look for 6 podcasts of the year as well. That's the WNBA side.
Gotcha. So thank you so much for coming on the show. Guys, make sure that you guys head over to Trent's channel, the Miami Heat Network. Make sure that you guys hit that subscribe button. Also go to his second channel, Top Notch, and hit that subscribe button. Guys, we're pushing the 6,000 subscribers here, and thank you guys for all the support.